Coming up on Photography 180, a how I shot it walkthrough of this image to show you how a simple 2-light setup can have you creating better photographs at night. Welcome back to the series, everyone. This week, I'm going to be doing a how I shot it on a beautiful image we created at the end of an engagement session just the other day. Now, the breakdown here is going to be quick and simple. It's really just to shine light on how a 2-light setup can be so simple, but yet bring a very nice dynamic to your images. So what we used in terms of lighting for this session, or for this particular shot, were 2 Evolv200s. These are made by Flashpoint, and in combination with the MagMod system. So for my rim light, the way I approach this generally is because it's dark and at night, we want to be able to create some layers, to create some separation. So right away, I know I'm going to probably use, unless I'm going for some sort of silhouette, I'm going to be using a 2-light setup. And I'll grab one of my 200s and use it as a rim light or a backlight. So I'm placing this on my Cheetah stand C12s, and I'm gonna create some distance behind, if I can, behind my subjects. About, anywhere from 10 feet or more, I think is ideal, just to get that light source to be a little bit further away from them. And on top of that, the subject here wanted to smoke a cigar. And so we knew that with some smoke coming out as a result of the cigar, that we wanted to illuminate that properly. So I chose not to add any kind of light control on that backlight. And instead I left it bare. Placed it without any gels or anything, just about 10 feet behind my subjects. And I had to position it in a way that you would avoid getting any kind of unnecessary hot spots or distractions. So whenever we have the use of a rim light or a backlight, I always suggest going subtle, starting with a very low power to start and then adjust to taste. But we're looking to position both ourselves and our subjects in a way that we don't necessarily see that direct flash exposed coming right in through the camera lens. So, making sure you position it in a way that, based on how your subjects are positioned, that they also don't get hot spots coming through. Sometimes our ears tend to be one of those problem areas where if light is really coming through strong from behind, the ear will just extremely illuminate and become a bit of a distraction. And so I was careful to position them in a way that I knew the ear closest to us that would be more visible in the frame would not be getting light because of the direction of their heads, that the light would be blocked by that. And another thing to consider, of course, with the ladies is that, especially we were out on the water, it was a little bit windy, hair could be a bit of an issue, especially when you're backlighting it. So these are things that you're gonna have to think about in post, unless it's very rare to have a situation where you're using backlight and you have no flyaways getting illuminated. So keep that in mind. There may be a little bit of editing involved to kind of clean that up. And in this case, especially because of the wind, it was very hard to control that. So as long as you can keep it in a reasonable amount that you can then fix it in post, it's something you're just gonna have to do in all likelihood. Now, for the key light, we went with another 200, also on a Cheetah stand C12. But instead we added a little bit of more light control for the key light, because we did not want that light to be spilling everywhere. In this case, I ended up composing the shot to be more 3/4, so we didn't necessarily see their feet or the ground. But in instances where you are going to see that, I tend to want to control that light as much as possible so that we're not creating this big hot spot of light all around their feet. It just kind of gives away the fact that we were using flash. And in a lot of cases, you want to do your best to try to create something a little bit more natural, unless you're specifically going for that strobe look. So what we did is add a single grid from MagMod, the MagGrid, right on top of the 200 here. And then I added the MagSphere as well, just to give us a little bit more of a softer light. I know it's still a small light source and it's not going to be the same as a softbox, but what I like to do is add that on, and then I will have it positioned in a way so that the light is sort of feathering a little bit up and over the subject. So they're only getting the very edge of that light coming down towards them. So, you got to do it very carefully in terms of the angle and the positioning, and it's easier to run and gun with the smaller lights, and it's better that these are capable of lower powers than your bigger strobes. So in these situations, it's just easier to use this setup. Now, so you'll notice that with the control there, we're not spilling light all over the place. We're not ruining the environment around them. The first thing we're doing before we even turn on these lights is exposing for the background for the ambient light. We want to set the scene first before we add in any of our lights. So obviously the NYC skyline from Jersey City was our main focal point as our background. So we did kind of set our settings in camera for that, ended up being f2, I think ISO 1250, and we stayed at 1/160th of a second. In theory, you could slow your shutter speed down since you are using flash, and you most likely would be okay getting that subjects to be nice and sharp once that flash pops. But in this case, 1/160th, f2, ISO 1250, there's a lot of different ways to do this. Find the way that's right for you to get the result that you're looking for. And so from there, once we have our ambient set in place, that's when we start powering on our flashes. I recommend starting with the backlight or the rim light. Again, very low power, especially with the ISO a little bit elevated and the aperture a little bit more wide open. Generally starting almost at the very lowest power is where I typically will start, and I'll move up from there. So quite often it's not higher than 1/128th unless my light is much further away from my subjects. Same kind of concept goes for the key light as well. Generally starting on a lower power, just given the settings, and I'm not trying to create this overly flash look. So I can't quite remember where I might have ended up, but because of the proximity of the light to my subjects, and again, just because of my camera settings, I really didn't see needing a lot of power there. So I was probably around 1/128th, and maybe I went to 1/64th, just because I was kind of feathering that light up and above them. But the key here is start low and just add a little bit more at a time as you monitor the shots on the back of the camera, and you'll get to that perfect sweet spot. So, you know, it's a quick and easy 2-light setup. It's really an easy way to sort of truly impress your clients, because, you know, just that little addition of that rim light or that backlight can make such a world of a difference in creating those layers and separation, and especially with the cigar and the smoke, just being able to illuminate that. When I showed them the picture in camera, they were just like, just over the moon. And I knew this was just the beginning, because I was still gonna do my magic in post, clean up little things. And it's just, you left with this image. We just posted it on our Instagram. It really got a great response. And it's such a cool image, especially for him, this personal touch of this, adding the cigar and this sort of relationship he's developed with his father-in-law. So it all comes together to create an experience for your clients, to create an image that's unique, and they fall in love with it, and it's only gonna do great things for your business, and it's going to get you a better range of images to put throughout your portfolio. So you feel comfortable at night, your clients will feel more confident in your skills, and it's only gonna do great things for you. So I suggest you go out there, practice a little bit, give it a shot, and feel free to ask any questions you have down below. I'd love to help out in any way possible. Hope this video has been helpful, and I look forward to another video next week for Photography 180.